Hello, everybody. Welcome back to round four of the Ottawa Red Dragon Comics Cards and Games Materia Cup. Once again, huge shout outs to Michael Byrne of Ready Check Raideo. This would not be possible without him. We would not have the video files. And we love sharing good Final Fantasy TCG here, so also, huge thank yous, of course, to Square Enix and Hobby Japan for allowing me to be your eyes and ears and your commentary for the round. So, some really interesting stuff in Steven's hand already. I'm kind of a little flabbergasted. Let's see what we're looking at here. I don't know what Jonathan's on yet. I didn't get a good look at his hand. I'm seeing a lot of crystal cards, and I'm seeing a lot of ice lightning, it looks like, for Steven. I saw the Scholar and I thought it'd be Gigawall for a second, but no, we're looking at some good old fashioned ice lightning crystals. So I imagine we're gonna see some stuff like some Melusines. Jonathan double checking the text on the card. All right, what have we got on Jonathan's side? Looks like a Knight's Game. I see a Delita. Don't know that I see a way to Ramza, unfortunately, or Corella. This is an interesting matchup, though. I don't know how many ways Steven has to really. Ice historically has not been very good at clearing boards, so let's see what we've got here. We're gonna go. Seems like Jonathan's decided on the play. I see a Sid Randell in Steven's hand. That could be a huge problem for Jonathan if left unchecked. We could go something like that Al Sid into the Sid Randell, and the Sid Randell would even have some protection there by virtue of the Al Sid kind of dulling and freezing stuff out of the way. So if we don't have, that's the me. That's going to get us the Corilla. Are we going to go ahead and slam that Corilla? We see the ice cards. So it's got to be a possibility, right? Like, we have to know that there's a chance that there's a Sid Randell in hand for Jonathan. I think we're deciding what we want as well. Do we want to go get so many different options here? Get, Amaterasu, you can get the Laswell, the Ramza. I mean, Corilla is the go-to, but if we don't have a water card, we're checking the break zone. We're trying to find the stink of that Sid Randell that's just kind of lurking in Steven's hand. And we may not find it until it's already on the field and it's too late. Alternatively, if we want to be on the really safe side, this Moody can go get us something like a Bahamut. That's a really heads-up play. We're going to get a Gawain. Oh, no. That's a little scary. And I don't see like a Cullen. We'll have to see how good Jonathan's outs are to that Sid Randell, because it's coming down this next turn. Like, Steven cannot afford to let a Corilla resolve. I don't think he has the tempo or the board clear to deal with that. Is Jonathan going to go ahead and slam that? He's thinking about it. Now we're just going to go ahead and pass. So there is a Cloud of Dark. Man, I've literally never seen that Cloud of Darkness outside of pre-release. There's the Al Cid. No response. Into a Sid Randell. Steven says, I call your bluff. Deal with my little judge over here. Do you have a way of stopping me? I got this red card held up saying no entries. No entry effects. It's not the end of the world for Jonathan. We do have access to stuff like, I imagine this is going to be a Leela to try to out this. Yep, there's the Leela. So this represents the out to the Sid Randell. Except if we can play an ice forward here, we can dull this Leela. And yeah, like with the Surges, we could potentially just dull freeze this Leela. You go 2. There's the Charlotte. That's the protection for it. So now we have to go for Cloud plus an Ice Forward here if we want to just continue the game plan of this Leela cannot be allowed to attack the Sid Randell. And I mean, we have the cards to do it. We just have to go that Lightning card, another one for Cloud, pop the Charlotte. And then you just go dull the backup for the Surges. That's exactly what it looks like we're doing. We see the 3 cards in hand. Here comes the Cloud. That's going to make a swift end to the Charlotte. And we're going to dull the Leela. Knight's not known for its density of EX bursts. There is the Steiner. We didn't play the Ice Forward. I just can't. I don't like that. I mean, it just took one more cast there. We would have had the protection for. I mean, I know we have the other one here, but now Jonathan kind of knows what's up. Like the stink is gone. It's a stinky deck. He knows it's there, and now we're gonna get to resolve this Corilla. I'm assuming is in hand. Right there. Yep, there she is. Hits the Laswell, the best possible one, and the Crystal. What the heck? That's a Crystal Ramza. What are you doing in here? So you can either pay a Crystal to give him 9,000 power and Brave, or 9,000 power and Haste, and then you pay a second Crystal to give him Brave and the ability to attack twice in a turn. Lots of weird Opus 16 cards coming out here, but that Laswell is going to hit both of the field, and again, I just have to wonder, like, why didn't we just play the Surges? We could have, like, surely if there was anything that could out that Sid Randell, you had to, like, that was your life. Your life in the game was that Sid Randell, and it's gone now. And the Charlotte for the extra protection. Now the Laswell's protected. I mean, I don't think that we're going to be able to do the Ramza thing here, but I mean, we don't need to at this point. Like, there's so much damage on board, and I guess like an Ixion would go really crazy here, but you got to have the Ixion. I just, man, I don't know. I'm not loving that play. Here's the Sid Randell. Like, yeah, we have the second one. We can freeze forward, but we got one card in hand now. That's going to get discarded off of the Laswell if the Corilla attacks here. Says how many cards in hand? I got one. I mean, Jonathan doesn't have anything going on in hand here, at least, so we can just swing the Corilla. I mean, Steven has outs here. Like, we just have to get the Ixion. We can wipe all these 2-cost Knights off the field. But we're introducing extra dependencies here. We have to find Ixion plus a Lightning card in hand. We can't freeze anything with even if we cast a Knight thanks to the Sid Randell. Leo's not particularly impactful. Honestly, you can cast a Zach here. Or just another Leela. Like, why not? You've got the Charlotte protecting her. Jonathan in the tank a little bit. Yeah, if we have a second Leela, that's a pretty strong way of threatening removal. And the one downside is we do have the wrong Ramza in play if we wanted to try to go for some removal that way. So Jonathan isn't threatening removal of his own right now. I'm guessing we don't have a second Leela here, but There's... Oh, no, we must have it. We're pitching the rest of the hand. We know that the... like, that's the way we lose this game, is the Sid Randell sticking around. All right. So there's that. Now the problem is that Ixion specifically is not enough anymore, and we didn't draw it anyway. Man, lots of interesting crystal cards on Steven's side. He really is trying to generate crystals, but there's so much threat coming from him now. So we can go something like play the Wall Trill, get a freeze on the Leela, attack with the El Cid, dull the Leela so it can't attack this turn. But we can't because it's gotta be the Charlotte. The protection effect is so big here. Yeah, that's right. I mean, like, we could have gone for a Victoria there, but once again, this Leela is going to clear the Sid Randell for Jonathan, and all the bets are off at that point, right? I mean, we're going to go here, we're ditching both cards, we're going to get the Victoria because we have to. 7K clears the... that does not clear the Charlotte. Well, we didn't catch it, but on damage 3, the Charlotte gets an extra 2K power and 2K damage reduction. So we even did that in the wrong order, unfortunately. Alright, so, I mean, Jonathan's on the low hand size here as well. If we do this, we can go to combat, we can kill the Sid Randell. We have 2 cards in hand, so Victoria's printed power. We probably want to swing this... there's no cards in hand, so I guess the last will discard doesn't really matter. I don't think there's a lot of damage 3 that's impactful here, though, so I think we're probably... yeah, El Cid, anytime Ice Forward enters the field, you get a freeze of a forward. Anytime a lightning character attacks, you get a dull. Very, very powerful card, obviously, but... go back into that LB deck. We burned 2 Leelas, so we're on, looks like a Surges, a pair of Surgeses, probably like a Zac and a Leo. We're thinking about it. We're going to double check, make sure there's no damage 3 effects. A lot of very interesting cards here. The Edward, a very non-standard Ice Lightning build from Steven. And then checks, yeah, Scholar has no extra text. I wonder if we're playing like any kind of crystal backups to enable this Ramza, or if it's just supposed to be Lilith. And that's going to clear the Laswell. That's a start. That's a good burst. We would have had to hit the Charlotte if we'd caught that. But, I mean, that gives us a chance here. We have a Charlotte of our own now for Steven. That's not the worst. We can freeze that Leela. Alternatively, you can ditch the Wall Trill, go Surges, freeze the Leela, freeze the Corilla, just lock 2 damage out. That looks like that's what we're doing. Yeah, Surges, freeze Corilla. And I mean, the damage pressure isn't there now, so Steven's going to dull the Ramza out of the way. We're going to get 2 hits of damage in here. That's a Gawain. That's all the Gawain's gone. That's a Meath. We can search anything by discarding Steiner, but we have Steiner, Ramza in hand. We're not taking the burst. I'm actually, I'm color me surprised. I Probably would have ditched that Steiner in a heartbeat and gotten myself something to get me out of the situation that I'm in. Going back into the break zone. We're checking. Maybe we haven't decided yet. Trying to think like what the best possible get would be. I mean, the Elcid's just tearing us apart. We also are like dead on board next turn because we have the Karilla and the Leela are gonna untap. I guess something like a Miwa if we're on it would be really good. Could activate the Leela and the Karilla so we get a big blocker and the Amaterasu would also be a good search potentially. Get Amaterasu, you can Amaterasu the Alcid's next trigger. At least remove the body from the field. He's Alcid really showing why he was a legend in Opus 14 for sure. Such a powerful card. I have a running joke with my friends that like if Alcid hits the field, I lose the game. Uh, man, really thinking about this. There's got to be a card in the deck that's better than that Steiner, right? It does allow us to cast a water card next turn, but that's not enough on its own, I'm pretty sure. I think just the ability to cast the top of the deck, if it happens to be water, is just not going to cut it for us. Something like a Rinoa, if we still have one, would be nice. We could flicker this Karilla, try and find something powerful. I mean, we have to top deck ice if we do that. I mean, even if you just top deck the fire, it's not ideal, but it's not the end of the world. We do take the burst. All right, what's the magic non-backup card that we can run here? Rinoa. So we're just gonna spin the Karilla wheel again. That's the plan. I mean, it's not a bad one. We've still got everything from Lilith. Like what's left in the deck? We've got Beatrix, could be really potent. We could hit a Garland, get back the Laswell. We top deck double ice here. I think we hit Rinoa there for sure. So looks like double Rinoa. Ramza Larsa. So we can ditch probably the Ramza and the second Rinoa, get to flipping. Or this backup's not going to matter. We can go for a Leah with the Larsa. See if we can draw into a second ice card. Like that's the other alternative. There's the Rinoa. Hits Karilla. There's a Delita. That's a good one. And a Garland. So Garland will get back a Knight. Last card in hand is Fire. If we have exactly Lilith, that gets us another body on board, but no removal. This Victoria is going to be a 10k on Steven's turn. It's going to be a little bit tricky. I mean, you can just sack the Ramza that's causing you so much heartache right now. I think we go with the Garland just to get the bigger body out, right? You can block the Ramza, maybe. So we're not dead on board here without some kind of removal spell. Garland can get back, probably. I know we're really low on last wells as well. Jonathan thinking this through. Maybe we're not on the Lilith at all. If we're on the Ramza. Last well is obviously the strongest card in the deck. And I think we're very low on it. We're also pretty much out of Charlotte's. We could get back like a last well, go for a Surges, lock that Al Cid. That's what we're looking at. Yeah, we're reading Surges. And I think... yes, we're going to grab back the last well. Ditch it, play the Surges. Surges, this will freeze. It's got to be the Al Cid. It's just killing him. We can offer a trade of our own Surges, let the Victoria through, threaten lethal right back, and Steven's in a pretty bad position all of a sudden. One card in hand. We're trying to think what gets us out of the situation here. That Ice Shiva's, that's a good one. We need 1, 2, 3, 4 casts. Don't think we have that with it. We're thinking about it. Didn't see what that last card is. We've seen Cloud, Victoria, Surges. Steven's out of his LB deck. So he's only restricted to the cards in hand. Alright, we're going to go ahead and just start RFG and Ice forwards. Go boop, and thank you very much. I'll put that back in my hand. I think it's an O as the last card in hand. Jonathan. Oh, it goes back? Yes, it does, Jonathan. Still so many forwards on the field. So we can swing in here. We've got a bunch of small forwards. Even if this Ramza dies, Jonathan can't cast big Ramza. Right? We have 1. We'll top deck 2. Yeah. So it's not ideal, but we can chump the Ramza, or we can chump like the Surges off of the trade. And then let the Victoria through, and that's game. Yeah, we're just going to go ahead and chump with the Ramza. And going to go ahead, cast a Charlotte. That's going to freeze the Leela. Stops one bit of removal. We've got three forwards. So he's got to do 4 damage. So lethal's not in play for Jonathan here. Thanks to the Charlotte. We did have to lose the Shiva on Steven's side. I think it's just O in hand. If I saw that correctly. Rams is gone, but we can't cast big Ramza because we don't have the cards for it. I think that's 3 different colors of cards. Should still have one more LB available to us, probably something like a Leo, which we can do right here. Try and get just the proper color for something. Here, we ditch the Larsa, say, okay, yep, Leo, let's get us another card. Try to find this ice card. Some Battle Cruiser Final Fantasy here. Just big bunguses on both sides of the field with not nearly enough removal to deal with them. We did find the ice card for the Agrius. No tactics character, so she's just a 5k. Jonathan. Oh, right. Charlotte does things. Learning about his earlier mistake in a pretty painful way here. I mean, we have some pretty big bodies on the field. Annoyingly, though, this Agrius being at only 5k is kind of a problem because we could use it to block a lot of the problematic forwards on Steven's side. Steven's got to get through twice with his 4 forwards to 5 on Jonathan's side. Al Cid can dole the Corilla, get the big one out of the way. You can play that. And so many crystal cards in Steven's deck. You can play the Kuja, discarding the O. That'll pop the. I imagine. We're going for the Agrius, which is the only target. It's going to force the discard, but it's an acceptable sacrifice. Dole the Corilla. We chump block with the Leo. Attack with Charlotte at 7. She's going to live too, which is really frustrating on Jonathan's end. So I have to imagine we allow this one through. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I mean, basically, you just know that you get to trade surges. I'm going to chump block with the Renoa here. I'm going to swing with the surges. This is going to force us to block here with probably our own surges, because we know that Steven can't play another one. No, we're going to take it. Okay. Oh, is it no cards in hand that Victoria? It's no cards in hand that Victoria has the extra text. All right. Jonathan, what do you have to deal with this field? The Leela's really choice here. It's going to finally get this Charlotte off of the field. Does Leela kills the Charlotte. And then you have the Corilla Garland to potentially protect you. We're on 6 damage though, so any... The Kuja actually is sneaking lethal through a lot of board states here as well. If Jonathan doesn't have 2 blockers that are bigger than the biggest attacker Steven has, he's still dead on board. So we can attack with the Leela, which we don't do. Gonna leave the Charlotte. That's a Lilith. That is really, really strong here. Attack with the El Cid. We're going to go ahead and dole the Leela. Yeah, I think Jonathan didn't realize that there was the bonus text on that. Freeze that, or dole that. Dole the... And now we have 3 attacks, and even if Steven wants to, you can go ahead and pop one of these guys for a crystal, and then pop the Garland. That should be all she wrote. Forces the block. And shakes his hand. GG. Ice, lightning, crystals getting there over Knights was a bit of a scary game. Honestly, for both sides. Lots of really interesting plays. Probably the most impactful Leela's looked in a while as far as, clearing the problems off the field, but the Dole Freeze really caused problems. Charlotte was Charlotte was a house for both players this match. Yeah, a little bit of housekeeping before we move on to the next round. By the way, round 5 was corrupted, so we're gonna have to jump straight to round 6 after this one. But regardless, I want to say thank you all for watching. Huge thanks once again to Michael Byrne of Ready Check Raideo for making these happen, and we will see you in the next one.